Welcome, everybody. John Zager. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Let's see, it's 3:12 on, I don't know. Let's go with Tuesday. And it's 86 degrees, climbing up to 96 as always. And I am headed south at the moment. And wanted to hop in and do a little short podcast. Got tied up yesterday. Couldn't quite get it in time. So I'm running behind today. Lots of things to get done today. I don't know. Working on some other businesses of mine, and they're taking up a little more time than I had thought. Trying to get things onto Google and different search engines and just stuff like that. No big deal. Just time consuming. Found a company over in, I don't know where it was, New York City or someplace like that. And they seem to be the most reasonable. I've got 5 companies, but they seem to be the most reasonable. And so far, they're doing what they said they were supposed to do. So, I don't know. We'll stick around with them for a while. But that distracted me yesterday and a little bit this morning. And I'm back online now. So I want to get this podcast in. It's. I was reading some different Pinterest. I don't know if you guys are into Pinterest, but boy, does it have information. It's like a search engine, but it's like the best of the best of the best search engines on anything you can imagine. And so I read it a lot. I put stuff in there, and they now have me pretty well figured out to where they just send stuff out to me, and they said, you know, like, John, here, this is certainly right down your alley. It's an interest for you. Read this. I think this is exactly what you're looking for. Most of the time it is. So I'm pretty happy with that. But I do a lot of meditation. You know, I just am a believer in meditation. It's like doing surgery properly. I never thought of that. It just came out. I don't know where it came from. But it's a way to heal yourself, self-heal, or heal others. And it just involves so much different stuff that's healthy. And there's all kinds of meditation. I've been, working more recently, as I've been saying to you guys, on energy centers. And doing that one twice a day, and boy, is that nice. Whew. Boy, do I like that a lot. I'm drinking cold water today with a lot of ice in a huge cup. Because you know me, I don't like hot weather. So what I was reading this morning, and I read quite a few articles this morning on it, research, mindfulness. And some of them were kind of comical. Some of them were kind of fun to read. You tell me what you think after you listen to me for a minute or two. So, the one I liked a lot, mindfulness is just being present, okay? So, it's not anything huge. It's just, here's the way the girl put the spin on it. She was just talking about how the people today, in this current time and space, are not centered, are not happy, are not healthy, are angry, aggressive. You know, if you're not into their view or way of thinking, then you're not on their good list. And she just went on and on about all these specific things about people today that are harmful to them, themselves, for acting that way. Their personalities being so negative. You know, it's kind of what I harp on too, but, you know, she went off on it, and I was glad she was doing it today because I did it yesterday probably. But, you know, she's basically saying, you know, if you're going to be negative, if your personality is going to be so atrociously negative, you know, you're just attracting disease. Period. That's science. That's not her, that's not me, that's not Dr. Joe, it's science. You upregulate disease if that's the best you can do with your personality. And so it was fun to listen to her rant and rave. I mean, I was reading her stuff. It wasn't a podcast. I guess she does do a podcast, come to think of it. I just read what I'm talking about today. And she was saying the way people can get well, change that personality, change that disposition, change that negativity, change that desire to be sick, excuse me, is through mindfulness. Now think about it. It's a simple principle, right? Real simple principle. If you've had some hard times in the past, and you focus on the past, you're probably going to attract some negative thoughts into your head. You know, boy, that wasn't very good, or, you know, God, I regret that, or that guy's a bum, or, you know, just negative stuff. And then if you start projecting, remember I did the podcast on projection a few days ago. You know, not very many people listen to that. I think only like 23 listen to the podcast on projection. But if you're thinking about the future and basing it off of what happened in the past, you're going to have negative thinking, negative thoughts, negative stuff going on, right? I'm going to turn in here, you guys, and see if I can park where I normally do, and then get in the shade where I can talk a little bit more. So, you know, staying present, it's pretty hard to get negative. And, I mean, she was pretty specific, which was kind of cool. You know, she was pretty specific. So, if you're driving down the street, and these are just examples she used, may not be the best. Maybe there's other ones that work better for you, and you can figure that out. Okay, so I'm parked. I'm going to leave the air on, and hope I don't roll off into the ocean or something. But, so, her examples were like if you're driving down the road and you run into a congested area of traffic and you have to stop for whatever reason and wait a little bit and creep along. You know, she said, just look around you. Look at the trees. Look at the birds. Look and see if there's any animals. Look at nature. Look at the sky. You know, look at clouds if there's any weather. You know, staying present. Right? Rather than going back in the past or projecting out to the future. And that's going to reduce stress and all the negativity that you seem to have going on in your life. Because she didn't have a real healthy outlook towards people, remember? I mean, when I was just describing to you a couple minutes ago about her thoughts and her thinking about people, I mean, she was not real positive about how people handle themselves in space and time today. And through meditation, you have an opportunity to bring everything back into alignment to where you can have some coherence and stuff happening. Because obviously you don't, is what she's speculating, or, kind of like, it's the way that she feels. It's what she sees in her world with people around her. Boy, is that good. So, staying present. How else can you do that? How else can people do that? You got things going on in the past that you haven't gotten over. Remember we talked about that 2 days ago, right? And, a mood is something you haven't gotten over for a few days, maybe a week or two. Your temperament is something you haven't gotten over for maybe several weeks or a few months, right? And your personality trait is what you haven't gotten over for, let's say, a few years, a year or more. And what can you do to change that kind of distress? And what you can do is start staying present. Start staying present. And think in terms of what's immediately around you. She goes on to talk about, and I understand her ideas are pretty simple, but that's okay. Just exaggerate them out so that they work for you. You're sitting somewhere, doesn't matter, and all of a sudden all these old thoughts start flashing, and feelings and emotions, and they become disturbing, and they turn negative in your thinking. Just look at what's going on. She says even as far as look at the table, look at the chair you're sitting in, look at the room you're in, look at the walls, look at the pictures, look at the lamp. You get the gist of it. Just staying present. Just staying present. So the opposite is true, when we think in terms of being in the future. We're, I don't know, getting carried away with an event that's coming up in the future, maybe a few weeks or a couple months or down the road, or even several days from now. And it reminds you of maybe some negative stuff that occurred similar to that in the past. So you begin to project out that it's going to turn out to be a negative event in the future. And again, all you're doing is just, that's your personality. You're hardwiring that kind of thinking. You're hardwiring those neurons that produce that kind of mood, that kind of temperament, eventually that kind of personality. And therefore you start attracting disease. It'll come and find you sooner or later. You don't have to go find it. So again, what she says, when you get carried away and get out into the future and you're not staying current with where you are, right? Slow down and look around. Just observe stuff. Come inside yourself, which is really probably the best way to do it. Get into thinking about your breathing, slowing your breathing down, being able to feel breath coming in, breath going out. Being able to sense and feel your respirations slowing down. Possibly, not everybody can do it, but you can lower your heart rate. We've talked about that several times. To work on that, to go inside, to slow down and meditate. And you can meditate wherever you're at. You don't have to be sitting in a meditation room, on a meditating chair or a mat. You might sit out on the front porch, on the step, and that might work just great for you. And it doesn't have to be for an hour and 7 minutes, or 49 minutes, or a half hour. It might be for 3 minutes. Meditating is just a way to reflect back on the inside rather than the outside. Staying present is turning everything back in. You want your internal thoughts to be greater than your external thoughts. Does that make sense? Everybody following me on all that? She had some pretty good points. I think her general thought process around people are pretty stressed out today, and they're not living the lives that they really wish they were living, is what she's saying. And in order to get there, you're going to have to do some things different. And meditating and staying present, I think, is a tool that works very, very well. So that was her little, I don't know, I guess it was a podcast, but I was actually reading it rather than listening to it. And there were quite a few of them there. That was the one that I guess caught my eye the most, being mindful. For me, I don't know if I've actually done a podcast on mindfulness. I've talked about it enough, but I don't think I've actually done it with that being the title. I'm 100% in agreement with her. The people I run into are struggling. I don't run into a lot of... I run into healthy people, so I want to say that. But I run into a lot of people that are struggling. They have more stress in their life than they need to have. They have more concerns on their external world than on their internal world. Right? in order for us to make change, we have to be greater than our feelings. All right, now follow along with me on this, you guys. So, if you're consumed with your external world, I don't know, your house, your yard, your car, your job, your family, the grass, the garage, the color of the house, the neighbors you don't get along with, the things out here that we're looking at that bother you, your external world. If you're so consumed with that, that's where where you place your feelings is where your energy is, right? So if that's all that you're consumed with, your feelings are that consumed as well. And you're not even experiencing the internal stuff you have going on. The thankfulness, the gratitude, the joy, the happiness, the love, the compassion. You get the idea? Those are the things that are inside of each and every one of us, if we choose to go in there and get them. And we make those greater than the anger that we have in our external world, for example. I guess I follow a fair amount of people on Facebook. I don't know. It says I have a lot of Facebook friends, but I don't hear much from them. But I like reading their stuff anyway. And I don't know if they listen to my podcasts or if they read any of my blogs. I mean, I blog a lot about what you guys listen to me talk about. And the last, I don't know, couple weeks, I've just started paying attention to it. The people that I follow on Facebook are now talking about stuff I talk about. That blew me away. I didn't think anybody even cared. And who knows, maybe they just happened upon it themselves. Happen chance. And that's cool. That's fine. But I kind of get a little carried away when I'm describing people that I run into. And now I'm running across on Facebook, people are putting their latest thoughts on Facebook in a manner that talks like I do about other people. That they're attracting negative stuff. They're acting negative, for the most part, is what these people are saying and writing about. And they're not even into neuroscience unless they're following me, and that I don't have a clue. And they're talking about all that's going to do is make them sick. Now, I don't know what sick means to these people when they're talking like that, but I found that pretty curious. So here's my spin. Here's my takeaway. Drink really, really cold water with a lot of ice. Boy, is that the way to go. Here's my spin. Here's my takeaway. Forget. And again, you know me, I'm just exaggerating to make a point. Forget what's going on out here in front of our visual selves. You know, here's a car driving by. Who cares? Here's a field over here, and the rows are pretty straight where they cut. Who cares? There's nothing out here that should be overly displeasing to you. The only thing when I look outside of my eyes into my external world, the only thing that goes through my mind is gratitude. I mean, gratitude to the point that I could almost cry. How fortunate and lucky are we, regardless of our situation, that we can visually live in a world that looks like this. That's the only place my thoughts and mind, that's the only place it goes on my external world. And inside me, in my internal world, I love having all of those feelings and emotions inside of me. I love having compassion for people, for animals. I mean, here's a silly, silly one. You guys will think, John, shut up, will you? You know, there's this little basset hound in the neighborhood where I live. And he hears my truck a block away when I'm coming. And he comes out to wait for me to drive by. I mean, is that cool or what? And I see him from a distance off where he gets up out of his bed and heads over to the road to sit next to it. And he kind of jumps up and down like a bucking bronc. It's really cute. It's really funny. But if I'm that consumed with something like that, I mean, that's compassion. Compassion and love for this little animal, right? Now, since I've started buying him milk bones, so I think he's kind of beat me at my own game. But I don't have anything that's negative. I have gratitude when I look out here in front of me, and I have all these emotions inside. Emotions are good, you know. They're not sobby things. Don't misunderstand me about that. You know, but you have all these really cool feelings and emotions and stuff on the inside. I don't think I'm attracting any kind of disease based on that kind of personality. Mindfulness, you guys, mindfulness. Seems simple, seems irrelevant, seems like, John, what are you talking about mindfulness for? Well, if you're into the quantum field, you'll be talking about mindfulness a lot, and you'll be well and happy. God bless everybody. Take care of one another. Hope you all have a good day, and look forward to talking to you all again real soon. See you. Bye.